The first step is to prime my eyes. I'm going to use my MAC paint pot in Soft Ochre, as per usual. I'm going to use my ring finger to apply it and smooth it over my entire eyelid. And then I'm going to use my Il Makiage palette. I'm going to use some neutral shades from this palette, obviously, just to carve in the crease and create like a deeper cut crease. For that, I'm going to start out with a fluffier brush. I'm going to use the Smashbox crease brush with a brown shade such as this one. I'm going to swirl my brush in, tap up any excess, and apply it kind of loosely on the crease of my eye. As you can tell, I'm going to kind of back and forth, putting no pressure on the brush. And then I'm going to use the MAC 217 and go ahead and use a cooler brown. I'm going to use this one right here from my Il Makiage palette. And it's like one of my favorite eyeshadows. And I'm going to apply it in my crease. Back and forth, back and forth. And a little bit of circular motion, just to make the blending as efficient as can be. Before I go ahead and apply some black into my crease, I'm going to use the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Immortal Charcoal, and I'm going to use it on the moving part of my eyelid. So I'm going to take a little bit on my finger and press it on the moving part of my lid, concentrating it mainly on the lash line and then taking it upwards a little bit, just to function as a base for the pigment that I'm going to use later. Now I can proceed with the crease. I'm going to take a super duper precise brush. I'm going to use my Hakuhodo J146, which is this one, and I'm going to take the black eyeshadow from my Il Makiage palette, which is this one right here. It's a very beautiful pigmented black. I'm going to pick up a lot of the product, tap up most of the excess, and make sure that everything is nicely blended first, and then go ahead and apply the black in between the area where the cool brown meets the cream eyeshadow that I used now. And just make sure that you blend it so that it doesn't look as harsh as a straight up black liner would, but still harsh enough to make a statement and to make the crease look very, cut and precise and all of that. If you find it a little bit of a struggle because it does meet a creamy base, and cream bases make eyeshadows a little harder to blend, use a denser brush like the MAC 217, for example. Then moving ahead to my pigment, I'm going to use this Il Makiage pigment in silver. I'm going to grab my Il Makiage fluff brush and I'm going to spray some Fix Plus on it just to make it damp, tapping in the pigment on the moving part of my lid. And then I'm going to start taking it upwards until it meets the black. To set it, I'm going to take my finger with the pigment and press it on my lid just to dry down the wetness of the color that I applied with some Fix Plus. Take your black again with the precise brush that we used earlier, tap off any excess and carving in the crease. Now before I move ahead to my face, I'm just going to create a bit of a winged liner. I'm going to use a Maybelline Eye Studio gel liner for that with a angled brush from Jade. I'm going to use a mirror real close to my face just to make sure that everything is, fine and neat and all of that stuff. I'm going to start out with the left eye because I find it to be a little bit more challenging than my right eye. So if I get my left eye kind of okay, then I probably can match my right eye to the left eye that I find it challenging. And create my wing. And work from the inner corner outwards. Clean out the edges. I just want to make sure that the crease looks as neat as I would like it to be. So I'm going back and forth, just making sure that it looks very neat and very, clean. And then I'm going to highlight my brow bone using my Nylon by MAC and the Fluff Brush by Il Makiage. I'm using the Le Crayon Kohl by Lancome to tight line my eyes. Going to look to the opposite side of where I place the liner. So basically now that the liner is in the inner corner, my pupils are on the outer corner. I'm using a waterproof mascara by Essence, and it's called All Eyes on Me Waterproof. Now it's going to be the face time, and I'm going to use my Guerlain Lower Primer to prime my entire face. Okay, so now that my face is primed, I can apply a corrector underneath my eyes, and I'm going to apply the corrector with my own fingers because I just find that to be a little bit easier. But before I do that, let's just clean a little bit underneath my eyes just to make sure that the corrector will do its job properly. I'm going to let the primer sink into my face while the corrector does its magic to conceal my under eye circles. So I'm going to use the corrector with my fingers, with my ring finger, and I'm going to apply it mainly in the inner corner, and then take my time to spread it outwards. And apply some concealer and blend it in with a triangular sponge like this, just to make sure that I'm not disturbing the corrector that I put underneath. I'm going to use my Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place concealer, the liquid one and not the one in the pot. I'm going to blend it in with the sponge, and I'm going to not sweep but tap just to make sure that nothing underneath is getting disturbed or interrupted. Just make sure that when you tap, everything is like as light as you can possibly tap. So basically don't press too much, because the harder you press, the more movement you will cause, which will disturb the corrector that you put underneath. Next, I'm going to conceal around my nose and move on to the chin, and then for foundation. And I'm going to blend the concealer again with the sponge. Going to apply it on the brush. deposit it all over my face, focusing mainly on the inner portion of my face and sweeping everything outwards just to get like an even coverage all over my skin. But make sure that the inner portion, which is my most problematic area of my face, is properly covered. I'm going to tap a little bit underneath my eyes just to make sure that everything is 100% blended. And for powder, I'm going to use my Meteorites clearly because, again, that's like my powder of choice. I'm going to apply it with a fluffy brush, my Dior blush brush, which is not for blush, trust me, it's like for powder. It fits perfectly as a powder brush. I'm going to move back to my eyes. I'm going to line my waterline with the Lancome the Cream Coal in Black Ebony. I'm going to apply a little bit of mascara on my lower lash line, just a little bit. The first thing for the face is a bronzer. I'm going to use my Terracotta bronzer by Guerlain, which looks like this in the shade number 01. And I'm going to apply it on the areas where you would normally bronze. So basically underneath my cheekbones. And this is not going for contour purposes. This is just for warming up my complexion a little bit because, again, like the eyes are silver and black, how cold is that? So anything that's going to provide my face with just a little bit of warmth is more than welcome. For my blush, I'm going to use my Guerlain blusher in Peach Boy. I'm going to use the combination of both colors, tap off most of the excess, and apply it on the apples of my cheeks. Finally, for highlight, I'm going to use the Mirror Lou-Manizer by TheBalm with my Smashbox fan brush because that's the brush that I always use for highlighter. And I'm going to just start highlighting my face like you normally would. And then for lips, I'm going to use a combination of the Il Makiage Spice Lip Liner and the Tom Ford Pink Dusk Lipstick. And I think that the final touch is just an inner corner highlight since I forgot. I'm going to use my MAC Nylon with my Il Makiage shading brush. I'm going to apply it in the inner tear duct area of my eyes just to make them pop even more. And that is practically everything that I have to share with you today. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you'd like to see more tutorials like this, or if you have any specific looks that you would like to request, leave it as a comment in the comments bar down below. So I hope that you subscribe to my channel and like and comment, and I'll see you all in the very next video. Bye.